Hello and welcome to Access Chat. We're delighted to be joined today by Dr. Hamied Haroon, who is a Purple Light Up ambassador. As you know, Access Chat are also supporting Purple Light Up, which takes place on Monday, the 3rd of December. This is a day of celebration for International Day for Persons with Disabilities, UN Day for Persons with Disabilities. Hugely important that we do celebrate. So welcome, Hamied. It's great to have you with us. You not only do you have a PhD in biomedical magnetic resonance imaging, which is a mouthful, but you're the chair of the university's Disabled Staff Network, and you launched the National Association of Disabled Staff Networks, which is an important thing in itself. So it's great to have you with us. Really pleased to have you here today. Can you tell us a bit about your journey in this space and how you ended up doing all of these wonderful things?
So thank you so much, Neil and Anthony, for having me on this program. I've watched so many of your chats, your Access chats, and it's like being on TV. It's just amazing. It's like eat your heart out, BBC and ITV. This is better. So really, the journey started from my birth. I've been disabled since birth and had experiences throughout my life that really shaped it. So I started life in like a special school for disabled children in Didsbury, which is a lovely part of Manchester, very green, very gorgeous. But in that school, because it was a special school, there was no like push academically. So everything was more around our physical well-being. We did like wheelchair dancing, sports competitions, all sorts of great things like that. But academically, there was not push there. So I was really lucky though, when I got to the age of starting our high school, there was an integration scheme started in Manchester, and I went to one of the first high schools in Manchester that actually had access for disabled children to go there. So I went to this high school and it was just incredible. It was one of the roughest high schools in Manchester, but it opened my eyes to the real world and what life was really all about. And that's where I really learned about science and started watching amazing programs like Tomorrow's World. Do you guys remember Tomorrow's World?
Yeah, I do. I actually it was amazing. I saw Maggie Philbin the other week at an event. So yeah, Tomorrow's World top of the agenda. They're doing a comeback show, 35-year anniversary show.
Really?
Coming up soon. Yes.
Oh yes, we've got to see that. And Star Trek and just amazing programs like that I used to watch. So they inspired me into science. And I really like Dr. McCoy. If you've ever watched Star Trek, right? Dr. McCoy has this probe thing, and he waves it over a person and finds out what their problem is, gives them a pill, and they're cured instantly. So I thought, yeah, I want to become a doctor. But when I went for careers advice, they just put me off. It was like, no, you're a wheelchair user, you got physical disabilities. There's no way you can become a doctor. So think of something else. So when I told my mum, she said, never mind, you could become a lawyer instead. It's like, no, I don't want to be a lawyer. Why do I want to do something so dry? I'm helping criminals as well, God. So yeah, I kind of followed my passion into science, went for A-levels, and on the shelf of my teacher's room, there was a book there on medical physics. So that was kind of like a divine inspiration that, okay, if I can't make it as a medical doctor, I can at least get in through science, through physics, get into the medical field that way. So I followed that path, went to university. Got to university and I just found access was so bad, so difficult for disabled students there. I couldn't even access the Students' Union, which is where everything went on at the university. So I decided to do a bungee jump. And I did that on the side of the main road in Manchester. I don't know if you know Manchester very well, but Oxford Road is where like all the university life happens. So it was just on the side of Oxford Road where this bungee jumping was going on. The Students' Union kind of organised it, and I did it in my wheelchair, went up 180 foot, but without my glasses, so I couldn't see anything, and did the bungee jump from there. But it was just a fantastic thing to do. I'd never, ever do it again in my life, but it was brilliant because it kind of it raised awareness that disabled people can do anything. You know, we can follow our passions, we can do our dreams, but you know, and that kind of woke up the university to actually thinking about access more seriously for disabled students at the university. And I got into magazines and newspapers and all sorts of things. So it was brilliant. So yeah, that was kind of my first disabled activism. But at high school, my high school teacher, she was also disabled, and she used to chain herself to buses that were inaccessible. She got taken to prison by the police, but because the prison cells were inaccessible, she couldn't even be put in a prison cell. So it was like her stories really kind of fired me up and said, yeah, we need to keep raising awareness. So that's where kind of my kind of part in disability activism, if you like, started. And things carried on from there.
Fantastic. Antonio, I know you've got a question.
I do. No, visiting in all your adventures, I would say that. How would that reflect today on the experience that students have when they apply for the university in Manchester?
So I think things are much better now. Access is improved for disabled students, and in fact there's a lot of attention on disabled students and the provisions there are at university. But now there are problems in terms of funding for support for disabled students. So there was the Disabled Students Allowance, and in recent years the government has cut what that allowance can provide support for, and you know who it can go to, and that's causing a lot of problems for disabled students, causing problems in terms of accessing education. But there's a lot of good things that have happened as well. So technology is amazing. The kind of lecture recordings and yeah, those kind of systems are making education more accessible. Distance learning as well is becoming more kind of fashionable, if you like. More universities are providing that. So that kind of opens the doors for a lot of disabled people to participate in education. So yeah, I'd say things are much better now, but there's still a lot to do.
Excellent, thank you. Obviously, we're talking about Purple Light Up today. So, what are you doing what are you lighting up Purple, and what are you doing to celebrate IPWD?
Well,
IDPWD. That's a real problem for someone with dyslexia, I can tell you.
Well, me personally, I'm going to be turning my beard purple, so I don't know if you can see the purple in the beard, right?
Fantastic.
And there are lots of events happening at universities across the country to take part in the Purple Light Up. It's an incredible initiative that Kate Nash and the team at Purple Space have taken off the ground. There's such a vibe, such an energy of disabled people everywhere to get involved in the Purple Light Up. And of course, this year is going global as well. So not just celebrating in this country, but all over the world. And it's just a brilliant way. It's a magnificent way even of celebrating the International Day of Disabled People. And just a great way to pull us all together. And the whole kind of purple identity as well, rather than using the wheelchair symbol. Very few people are actually wheelchair users. Why use that symbol? So purple in the purple pound, purple talent, purple passion, and purple symbolizing disabled people, and the positivity around that as well. So getting us away from this deficit model of disability or disabled people being these poor people who are on benefits, sitting at home doing nothing. No, we're making a huge contribution to the economy here and all over the world, but people just don't know about it. So it's raising the awareness and the positivity. I think it's just a brilliant thing. I love it. Love it completely. So yeah, there's lots going on, lots of purple things happening. People trying to light up their buildings in purple, making purple cakes, purple food, purple salads. There's all sorts of purple things all over the place.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we've definitely got some purple cake action going on.
Yeah.
We managed to persuade our branding team to turn our website purple.
Yes.
So I think that's like something like 30,000 web pages will all go purple for the day.
Amazing.
So that's pretty cool. We've done our sort of PowerPoint templates and the whole works, and so that's going to be fun. And we're having an event in our London headquarters as well. So we're going for it this year. It's great that they've actually got it on a weekday.
Yes.
Makes life a lot easier. Hey, we're going to celebrate this on Sunday. Oh.
But also what we've done, Neil, is we've got this time the Purple Light Up team, they wanted senior champions to make vlogs. So we've got a esteemed professor at the University of Leeds, who's the director of the Centre for Disability Studies there. Her name is Anna Lawson. So she's made a short 1-minute vlog for us as well, which is fantastic. And that really represents the passion of our sector to be involved in Purple Light Up, which is brilliant.
Excellent. And we've got well, we were planning to have Debra, but unfortunately Debra's had family issues to deal with, and her daughter Sarah's been very ill, and so we're not having Debra in person, which is a shame, but we'll find another opportunity for that. But we have got I've got Alistair Somerville coming down and talking. He's the guy behind Acuity Design, and he does all sorts of stuff around thinking about how you can deliver accessible experiences in a different way. So it's not all about standards, but he does tactile UX and museum design. It's so going to be really exciting to hear from him. He's someone that we've had on before as well. We talked a little bit about celebration. Why is it so important for us to celebrate our identities on a day like the 3rd of December? Because it's not something that happens often. Why do you think it's so important?
I think it's really important, and especially on a day that is supposed to be the International Day of Disabled People. Before I found out about that day, I never actually heard anything happening on that day to bring disabled people together. So years ago, before the Purple Light Up came on, a few years before that, we started having some events at the university to raise awareness of the day and celebrations around that. And it was like the first time our universities anyway had even heard of the occasion. So it's really important to take up this opportunity, this one day in the year, to actually talk positively about disabled people, again, to get away from that deficit kind of attitude around disabled people, and to talk about the hidden disabilities as well. So, hidden impairments, invisible disabilities, I think is so important. There are people out there who are, they work really hard, so much harder than non-disabled people, and their disabilities are invisible. Other people can't see them. People with mental health problems, people with diabetes and chronic illnesses of some kind, really working hard, contributing so much. And it's like just raising awareness of that, making people realize, the contribution disabled people make to the economy, and, and the support as well that disabled people need to be able to do that. So without the support I get, for instance, from access to work, I would be just stranded at home. I wouldn't be able to go to work. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So it's about really kind of recognizing that and getting support from non-disabled people as well. Everybody joining in this celebration together.
So, going back to your words, how do you think that employee networks can support staff and and find ways where they can be more effective and achieve full potential at work?
Sorry, say that again. You want examples?
How do you see the importance of employee networks supporting individuals in order to achieve their own full potential?
Oh, wow. Networks. So one person raising their voice and saying something in an organization is so easy to dismiss. It's just a bit of noise in the background. But when there's a network of people, where there's a whole group of people together, the power is so much stronger. And as well, to bring people together, that sense of community, you kind of get support from each other. It's that peer support. It's that thing that people with disabilities, there's that shared kind of experience that we need to share, and helping each other as well to make it to those goals, kind of egging each other on and saying, yeah, you can do it. Don't be pulled back by this and that. And giving each other advice, signposting the things that have helped us in our lives in reaching our goals, how they can help other people as well do the same thing, I think is an incredible kind of strength of networks, and why they're so important to be there, and exactly why our disabled staff network at the university, how it kind of started off, how it brought people together. The only trouble with disabled staff networks is the word disabled, that there are a lot of people out there with disabilities who don't identify as being disabled, but they do have, or they are disabled, and I don't know, there's kind of that thing around that word as well, and bringing people together. But it's also trying to get the institutions to support disabled people more. Yeah, kind of this whole idea of declaration and disclosure and stuff like that, and why it's so important to do it. But so many people kind of think, well, why should I tell my employer that I'm disabled? What am I going to get from it? Is it just going to cause me more trouble than anything? But being a network, you can get your organization do things to support those disabled staff, and give them the reason to come out and say they have a disability, that they're disabled. So there's a lot of strengths behind networks, I believe.
So obviously, really allies play an important role on that.
Allies play a very powerful role. Allies, so an ally that we had at the university was a senior champion, so a member of the senior leadership team at the university, and they had no experience of disability, which was incredible that they kind of accepted the role of being our ally, of being our champion, in fact, but having no background, having no experience of disability, but coming to our meetings, coming and sitting into our meetings, listening to the conversations, coming to events even and opening them for us. It was a huge learning experience for them. And they actually realized how related they were themselves to disability, that they found, they realized that there were disabled people in their own family that they didn't realize were disabled. And coming to our meetings and events, and really it was, yeah, like I said, a huge learning curve for them to realize, the problems we face and the solutions we want at work to be ourselves and do the best we can. So having allies is so important, because we know what our stories are, but we need to be able to get them across to those who can provide the systems and support that we need.
Excellent. Yeah, I think allies are tremendously important. We're working at the moment to expand our ally network across all of our networks. I think the point that you raised about disability sometimes being off-putting to people joining in because people don't consider themselves to be disabled is a tricky one. It's one that we've tried to address, but we've called our network Adapt, because we have to adapt to our environment, and we're helping our company adapt to meeting our needs as well. So we thought about ability, and we thought about this, and in the end, it's really about having that kind of flexibility to make sure that we're enabling people to be their best selves. That's really key to it. And we do want to be attractive, and we do want to attract allies. And part of that power of the networks is demystifying disability, demystifying long-term health conditions, which people don't necessarily think of as being disability, but that are classified as being, because there's one thing to have the legal definition, which is sort of an umbrella that protects us and gives us the rights and benefits that enable us to participate, and it's another thing altogether to have it as part of your identity. So we wanted to be able to talk about this and do it in a non-threatening way. And I think that perhaps days like Purple Light Up are a golden opportunity, or is that a purple opportunity for us to be able to talk about these things and engage people that perhaps would like to be allies, but that are somewhat discouraged by the taboos around disability. So what are the things that you, if you could change one thing around disability, relating towards disability in some way, what would it be?
So
only one. You're only allowed one. I'm going to make it really tough.
Man, I would say attitude. I think the attitude towards disabled people is the biggest thing I want to change. Personally, right, my own kind of upbringing as a Pakistani in a family, so my family have always pushed me to do my best and always been supportive to me. But in the culture of the people of my community, it's like disability is always such a negative, like poor thing, what's he gonna do with his life, and we almost like begging forgiveness from God that we don't want to get the punishment he's facing or something like that. So it's changing that attitude, taking disability as a positive thing. Disability, at university, you go on a course and you learn, you learn whatever you're learning, law or medicine or dentistry or whatever course you choose to do. But they talk about transferable skills. So disability, for me anyway, gives me so many transferable skills in terms of time management, in terms of confidence, in terms of like being organized. Yeah, I have to be organized, otherwise I can't get through my day. There's so many skills that a disabled person has that non-disabled people just don't get. So, disability, there's such a positivity, such a vibe. I've forgotten now the question you asked me, but yeah, that kind of thing.
No, that's great. That's a great quote, actually. I'm going to have to steal that from you. Well, no, maybe I'll give you attribution on that one. But no, it's a great quote. So dipping in, going to create a meme now for that. So, but absolutely, we as we're talking about accessibility and disability within our own organization and within my role as the accessibility lead for my employer, I think it's a focus on what people with disabilities can bring in terms of innovation and what the disability tech has brought to wider society that has benefited everyone. You look at all of the stuff that people are using in technology day to day now. I've been shouting at computers for 20 years. Speech recognition is not a new thing. It's a lot better, but it's not a new thing. They didn't used to shout back though.
So you are in a better relationship now.
Yeah, yeah, it's less abusive. Yeah, yeah,
That's good. That's good.
yeah.
Well done. But yeah, exactly. And like, if you go to, so I've heard so many people go to an interview, they kind of are open about their disability, and the interviewer will say to them, well, how are you going to do the job with the disability you have? But that's like such a wrong attitude to have. Again, it's changing attitudes. So it's like I know people who are totally deaf who play the most beautiful music there is. Professors, like esteemed high world leading professors who are blind, and their expertise is in textile sciences, material sciences and stuff. I can't imagine how they do these things, but they do because they have those skills, they have those talents. People like Stephen Hawking, for instance, the famous professor at Cambridge, the late Stephen Hawking, and the science he did. What an amazing mind, right? If I don't know, words can't express how amazing those people are. Those are role models. Those are incredible people. But like, for people to go to an interview and the interviewer saying to them, how are you going to do this job with your disability? It's just like, yeah, we've got to change that.
Yep.
That's just so wrong.
So it's fine to ask, how are you going to do this job? The last part of the sentence needs to go.
Exactly.
Because yeah, it's like, how are you going to do the job? Well, I'm going to approach it this way. Great, fantastic, and I'm going to do a damn good job of it.
But
But
rather than how are you going to do the job, the
yeah,
question
it's
should
that.
be, how can we
Yeah,
support you to do the job?
yes. Oh,
How
sure.
can,
But I'm talking about interview questions. We should ask everyone, how are you going to do the job,
yeah, sure.
regardless of whether or not. But yeah, absolutely. And it's like, you've declared a disability. How can we support you to do that to the best
Exactly.
of our capabilities as an organization, and to help you be the best you can in doing the job? It doesn't cost much. If anything, we look at all of these things, access to work, it's revenue positive for the government. We need to stop thinking about not only the deficit model of disability in humans, but the deficit model of funding disability. Because actually, when we do invest in it, it's an investment, not a gift. It's not charity. It's an investment. We're
Exactly.
contributing to the wider economy.
That's right.
And that's
Exactly.
something that we really need to understand, because actually we're benefiting the economy. Every pound that we put in is £1.20 back to the treasury.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Not many things that we spend money on as a country give that
Yeah.
kind of return.
Exactly.
In property, they say, if you get a 6 to 7% return, you're doing well. But
Hmm.
if you invest in disability, you're getting 3 times that.
Incredible. Incredible. Makes sense to us, doesn't it? It's just getting that message through.
Yeah,
Exactly. But when
yeah,
you talked about allies before.
yes.
So one huge ally, I think, in our history, I don't know if he was disabled himself or not, but Alf Morris. Do you remember Alf Morris?
Yeah, I know
He,
the name.
yeah. So sorry, that's my wife behind the.
That's okay.
So Alf Morris was the first minister for disabled people. He was a Manchester MP as well, which we're very proud of. But the changes he made in society, the legislation, the rights for disabled people, the whole Motability scheme that he started up, and all the different programs he did to support disabled people were incredible. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to get that in there.
No, 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 no. That's quite all right.
Just a couple of years ago, we had our first kind of public lecture at our university that was focused on disability equality. So we have lectures on all sorts of things at the university, obviously, but this was the first public lecture. This was back in 2016, when we had our first public lecture that was focusing on disability equality, and we had the amazing Tanny Gray Thompson come and give the lecture. She was incredible as well, and we had a kind of Q&A panel and stuff like that. But just to remember what Alf Morris did at that time, and the legislation we have now kind of started where from the work he did at that time. Again, I don't know if he was disabled or not, but he was a huge ally for the disabled community, definitely, and a huge role model as well. And of course, Tony Gray Thompson, man, he's powerhouse, absolutely incredible person.
Yeah, I keep trying to persuade her to come on Access Chat. One of these days we'll snag her.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can talk about transport because I've engaged with her on a few conversations about the difficulties of traveling, particularly on rail and so on, with and the frustrations of having to book stuff in advance, and just how we fail basic things to enable people to get from A to B,
right.
Yeah, with dignity.
It's great that Kate Nash has actually got Network Rail involved in the Purple Light Up. So some stations, I think Houston and other stations, are going to light up purple. So maybe Tanny should go on some trains at that time and see if they're any better on that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's basic things that we can do, and I think there's things that we can do with data that can make things better too. So, for example, toilet information. Simple things like this. Telling people in advance if the disabled toilets aren't working on certain carriages. You should be able to more dynamically book. The fact that you have to book 24 hours in advance is putting you at a significant disadvantage. You don't have the same kind of. You mentioned your ability to plan. Well, it's driven by things like this, right? It's driven by the fact that the logistics of traveling whilst disabled are significantly more complex. Yeah. So, but we have the technology, we have the data. We need to be able to look at ways of applying this to make it easier and take some of the pain out of the logistics that are currently there. And then, of course, there will be the knock-on benefits for everyone else because, of course, we're leading the way here.
Absolutely. But also on the subject of travel, so I'm really happy to see that something's happening in Parliament on about flights and the way that disabled people's equipment, especially wheelchairs and stuff, are just like thrown on into the cargo in airplanes. And you get to your destination and they're usually broken or, in some kind of bad condition. You can't even use them when you get to your destination. So I think something's happening in Parliament right now around, making that illegal, I think, to mistreat disabled people's equipment in that way, which I hope something happens on that, because that's always my fear when I go on a flight, is what condition I'm going to find my wheelchair in on the other side. And being a powered wheelchair as well, anything could go wrong with it if you just chuck it into the cargo with everything else. Yeah.
No, it would be good to be able to enable people to just wheel onto the plane, to be honest. We have those space. We have those spaces on buses. We have them on trains. What is it so difficult about planes? It's, of course, you have to secure. Because of turbulence or whatever. It's not beyond the wit of man, is it? It really isn't.
Exactly. That would be amazing if that could happen. Yeah.
Well, it would certainly solve the sort of, throwing something that is as delicate as an egg into the hold.
Exactly.
Except you can easily source eggs, and they don't come from specialist suppliers, and they don't cost tens of thousands of pounds to repair.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. I'm totally with you on that. Antonio, do you have any further questions?
No, we have similar problems when in Ireland in terms of transportation. So the fact that we're able to bring some Irish organizations to Purple Light is quite an interesting way to generate awareness. So I'm quite happy for that to be happening. So it will happen in Dublin and Cork and probably in other cities around, because it's a great moment to bring everyone on board of this event.
Absolutely. So I haven't mentioned yet the National Association of Disabled Staff Networks, which we started here in Manchester in 2014, some years ago. So we've been going for 4 or 5 years now, and it's trying to like be it's a super network connecting together disabled staff networks at universities and colleges across the country, across the UK. But we also have some universities outside the UK. So in Dublin, in fact, there's a university there. University College Dublin is part of the National Association. We've even got universities out in Canada who are part of the National Association, which is fantastic. But again, it's the National Association. We're trying to learn from each other, share good practice, learn from each other's experiences, because in the early days of our disabled staff network in Manchester, we were contacted by like newer networks, trying to find out how we did things, how we made changes at the university, how we made influence in policies and stuff like that. So the National Association was really born out of that need to share those resources, to share those practices amongst us. And it's a fantastic organization to be in. And again, the kind of inspiration is a word that's so like overused, I think, but it still means to me what it's supposed to. So to be inspired and to be so motivated and moved by all the people that I get to meet as well in the association, all sorts of disabled people with all sorts of impairments, making such a huge contribution. Again, that purple light up, that purple passion that's out there. It's out there, and Purple Light Up is a great way to raise awareness of that. It's just fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you today. It's been a giggle, in fact. So
Indeed.
I think we just need, all that remains is for us to thank our friends and supporters, Barclays, Access, and My Clear Text, because they're our constant companions and supporters and help keep the lights on and keep us captioned and enable us to do stuff. So it's really important to have those kind of people supporting you. And to say thank you once again, Hamied. It's been a real pleasure. Look forward to chatting with you on Twitter.
Thank you very much, Neil. Thank you, Antonio, as well. Thank you very much.
Great to have you.
Bye-bye.